Hey everybody, and thanks for tuning in. I'm going to try to keep it brief today. There wasn't really a lot of news going on, but there were a few things that directly impacted Capcom, and I was kind of interested to take another look at them, seeing as how I've brought them up a couple times so far in the past. Now, I get that a lot of people out there don't really like Capcom. They've had a lot of failings, but there have been some incredible moments as well. Several of the IPs they've put out under their banner have held a place in my heart that many other games can't even get close to. They've been incredible experiences. And sure, I've been there, I've seen the flops, I know how bad they can be. But I've always been willing to wade through the muck in order to find the gems that Capcom is capable of producing. And as I've gone over in past episodes of this, I've talked about how Capcom is looking to expand their esports division into other markets that might not be as impressive. In particular, I believe Japan is one of them, due to some betting regulation issues, as well as being able to give prize money out to the actual competitors. It's kind of held them back. But there's been some recent rule changes in Japan, specifically making esports similar to how their major sporting events like baseball and such work, where professional video game competitors are able to get licenses that exempt them from that law. This has changed things pretty drastically for that scene, so much so that a major hedge fund manager has actually picked up the Capcom fighting game scene in Japan as one of his most recent major investments. Seth Fisher manages about $1 billion in Japanese securities, and currently Capcom is now in his top 5 investments. He's talked a lot about how these changes to the rules have been an incredible boon to the industry, but he's also pointed out that he's certain in terms of viewership and everything else that the rest of the world has really kind of been the top tier in esports. He feels Japan can catch up pretty quickly. That's kind of what his hope is. It's kind of what he's betting on. And partly this is due to the fact that if you're looking to buy a franchise in the US or the UK, they tend to be way more expensive than they currently are over in Japan. Fisher went on to talk about how he doesn't feel that Japan's esports scene is necessarily going to explode overnight. It's going to have a bit of an incline, and it's always going to be seen as a gain for any kind of investors. So it's something worth putting money into. He's even had a couple words for Nintendo in this regard. He's referred to the Switch as an incredible tool for tournament play, how it can actually bring together and socialize people, and how this will be an incredible thing in the esports arena as a very powerful source of gameplay. But he's worried that Nintendo doesn't put forward enough of an effort to try to make it a real thing, rather than just a family-friendly event. Currently, Splatoon 2 exists in tournament format in Japan, but there are no prizes. It's just for the fun of the game. So this kind of major investment in Capcom shows that when the CEO talked about expanding their esports potential in Japan, it wasn't just words. People have taken heed of this. And hopefully more major industries start taking a look at how they can also invest in such a growing market for them. I mean, the amount of money in the global esports market has gone up almost yearly by about 33%. I mean, on a global scale, esports raked in approximately $655 million in 2017. And it's estimated that as long as it follows that same line of growth as it has been, it will end at about $906 million this year. But as it tends to be with Capcom, you can never really have the good without some bad being close behind. I've been looking forward to the 2018 Capcom Cup. It was really interesting to see the finale of 2017, but I kind of wanted to actually follow from the smaller tournaments all the way through to the finale with this current one. I wanted to see how the drama would unfold. It was great last year because we got to watch MENA RD win and put on the map the Dominican Republic as a major contender in one-on-one fighting esports. So it's sad to hear that MENA RD is a little disappointed in how Capcom's handling the sort of initial phases for being able to get into the Capcom Cup. For those who don't know, there's a bunch of mini events that occur around this that when players go to it, they'll gain points based on how they place. This sort of goes into an overall ladder system, and they take the top numbers of that ladder system to pull them into the Capcom Cup. This is referred to as the Pro Tour. This is a kind of a way to get the best of all the regions into the same building. But this year, with how the games are scored, it's going to be harder for some areas and some countries to even make it to the finals, considering that their country has less tournaments for these players to go to. Now, these changes in points particularly push down what are considered the ranking events for the overall Pro Tour. And some countries only really have a lot of ranking events, but they don't have premier events, which are worth way more for winning. So a country like MENA RD's Dominican Republic is going to have less chance to bring more players to the final World Cup than, let's say, America with its 7 premier events. That's not to say this change isn't entirely useful. The problem prior to this was that some major professional gamers would have pretty incredible burnouts in the preseason before even getting to the main event. So players like Kunjian Ho feel a lot less pressure to have to go to as many events as possible just to get their name on the board. So this is a little bit of a hit and miss, and it has a lot of people worried, but maybe when all the dust settles, we might see that it wasn't so bad. At least that's the hope right now. One of the biggest benefits from the current Street Fighter tournaments is that it seems to keep bringing in new faces. Of course, we have all like the household brands, Daigo and all them constantly showing back up, but there are names that just get to the major tournaments who we've probably never heard of locally. And that's the part that gets me excited about this kind of tournament, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. But like I said, this was going to be a short episode. I only really wanted to take a quick look at Capcom, see what's been happening over there, give you guys a little bit of an update. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit that button below, or subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time.